Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to call the Sumter County Council regular meeting for Tuesday, April 23rd to order. Let us please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the pledge of allegiance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let us pray. Our dear kind Heavenly Father, we do thank you for bringing us together again as the council that you have appointed. We invite your presence as we approach this meeting, and we ask that you abide with us, dwell with us, and help us that this might be in us, which was also in your Son, Christ Jesus. We acknowledge you as the one in whom we live and move and have our being. We ask that you help us to conduct ourselves as a government that we have learned is on your shoulders. We ask you to hold us up and to be obedient to your will. These are our blessings we thank and ask in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
planning on any change to the agenda. Move for approval. Second.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, you will note the title assigned to the resolution on the agenda only denotes Chapter 2 of Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised 12th edition, when in actuality the written resolution we've been provided seeks to incorporate additional sections from Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised 12th edition, contained in Chapter 3 and Chapter 4. Therefore, I move to approve the agenda with the following correction under new business item 3. It should read, action by Sumter County Council on R24-03-A, resolution to discontinue the practice of engaging in debate or discussion prior to a member of County Council making a motion, followed by a second from another member in order to follow the provisions of chapters 2, 3, and 4 of Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised 12th edition.
I second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to revise the agenda to include the language that Mr. Washington stated on discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Mr. Washington's probably correct, and I think we might want to wait and hear from our county attorney, and then let's go first.
I could give you a little further explanation if you like. It covers all of those chapters.
It's mentioned in all of them.
And so to leave one out would not be comprehensive.
As long as our attorney's okay.
It won't impact the substance of the resolution.
I'm sorry.
It won't impact the substance of the resolution.
Okay, all right. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The agenda is approved. Have a motion to approve our minutes from County Council's regular meeting. Second. Been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
There are no land use matters tonight. Ordinance number 24999.
Mr. Chair, mine is an abstention from the approval of the minutes because I was not here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Mixon, who's going to present this?
No, sir.
And for the public's knowledge, we will take third reading. We'll have a public hearing after third reading. This is just second reading, so there will be no public hearing on this issue tonight. Or is this third reading?
This is third reading, but it has a public hearing proponent to it, sir. So yes, this is ordinance 24,999. This is a request from staff to amend the county's current budget ordinance to allow for the purchase of a a bulldozer for the landfill. The cost negotiated is for $466,500. This includes a $58,500 transaction credit. The request again is to come from the solid waste fund for the public works department, sir. So, no changes since the second.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, point of order, I know that we have on the agenda tonight Robert's Rules of Order, and we're going to be abiding by them strictly, so I want to make sure we do this right. And so, the point of order is this: whereas 4-9-120 Code of Laws of South Carolina sets forth the procedures to be used by county governments in adopting ordinances and provides in part, the council shall take legislative action by ordinance which may be introduced by any member with the exception of emergency ordinances. All ordinances shall be read at 3 public meetings of council on 3 separate days with an interval of not less than 7 days between the second and third reading. That's my point of order.
So noted.
So in other words, explanation would be we would need a 7-day period before we could approve the third reading.
2 days, been 14 days since we.
I see our attorney shaking his head.
Well, I'm reading from,
It's been 2 weeks.
It's been 2 weeks.
It's been 2 weeks since we had the reading.
Public hearing.
but what it says is that all ordinance shall be read at 3 public meetings of council on 3 separate days with an interval of not less than 7 days between the second and third reading.
This is third.
This is the third reading. And
Yeah,
we had a second reading.
Let's make it 2 weeks.
2 weeks ago.
But we didn't have a public hearing.
We have a public hearing tonight before we take third reading.
Which is generally a part of the second reading.
But it doesn't absolutely have to be.
I mean, that's what it's suggesting to the public. So we didn't have the public hearing, and the public hearing is generally on the second reading.
We've had other.
Right? I mean, according to Robert's Rules of Order, I mean, and this was done,
Yes. We have third reading right after the public hearing. The same day.
So yeah, excuse me, sir, we're trying to have a discussion among staff to determine what the proper response would be. Based on the law, you are allowed to have third reading and a public hearing at the same date. As far as meeting the criteria for the time difference, we had first reading 3 meetings ago, second reading at the second meeting, which is 2 weeks ago, and now we're at third reading 2 weeks later. So the duration times are all addressed. The question of whether or not we can have third reading and a public hearing at the same time, we believe that we've done that numerous times, and it is based on law, you're allowed to do that.
Mr. Chairman, that's not generally how we do it, and it's not generally how we do it. I mean, I know you have a resolution out to deal with Robert's Rules of Order, and this does seem to be a variance from that.
Well, I don't understand because we've had public hearings on third reading in the past, so. And besides that, this ordinance that I'm going to be bringing about using Robert's Rules of Order hasn't been adopted yet, so.
True, it hasn't been adopted yet. Do we have any bids on those?
Any what?
Bids? No bids. No,
Okay,
sir.
you got it too,
No, sir. Any bids on the dozer?
Mr. Chair, I can address that. It's on the buyback program, so we are able to get an additional purchase value because it's on what they consider a buyback program. So as long as it meets our procurement code, that's what you're asking. So it's cheaper than us going out here.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate staff's work on this. I got a couple calls on it, and what I was told is that there may be some better options. I'm told that there's a 2016 model that has 10,356 hours on it for $151,000, Fayetteville, North Carolina, which is a difference of $374,000. Our trade-in, we're getting $58,500 for 2018. And they're selling online for $200,000 up to $275,000 used. That's why I asked if we have any bids on it. There are others. Let's see, where there's a new one for $350,000, the Caterpillar D6T XL Dozer overview. And according to the specs, it's well suited for a variety of uses, including road building projects, grading, and general maintenance. And there's another one, priced for $159,000. I don't know what council wants to do, but it seems like we're moving awfully quickly, which is why I asked and inquired about the bid. And of course, as you know, I'm looking for every dollar for basic services. I don't know if anybody wants to respond.
May I have a point of privilege? Yeah, it sounds like this is new information, and I don't know what, how the rest of you feel about it, but if it's an opportunity to, if there's not a sense of urgency to do this, maybe we can wait one more meeting to see if we can save a little money. I don't know. It says it's new information.
Mr. Chairman, there's
to consider what the councilman is recommending.
Mr. Chairman, I would also add there's a 2018 Caterpillar D6T XL that was just sold for $265,000 with 5,561 hours. It was just sold.
Mr. Mixon?
Mr. Chair, I understand Councilman's concerns and questions. I think just reading articles of comparisons do not do justice to what the piece of equipment was suitable for. You don't know if it has the same apparatuses. There are definitely specific apparatuses that are applied to a landfill operation versus a standard bulldozer, and those costs are significant. As far as the urgency goes, yes, we recognize that that's why we're doing a mid-year instead of waiting to the end of the year to make this part of the regular budget. There's a desperate need right now. As a matter of fact, this past weekend, there was a fire out at our landfill. And one of the explanations as to why the fire was started out there was possibly that it wasn't compacted properly because we didn't have the right equipment out there. The motor grader that the trade-in, as far as what we got for the value of the trade-in, we have had significant issues with that particular piece of equipment. It has been in and out of the maintenance shop, and so it's not a good piece of equipment to do a trade-in. But as you know, in every possible purchase, there's a negotiation. There's values established based on what equipment's on it. We have a standing relationship with this particular vendor. They have been a County provider for a number of years. They've been very fair to Sumter County. We have evaluated this piece of equipment. It's exactly what we need. And it's just hard to compare to other used pieces of equipment. As you know, when you try to purchase a vehicle, the standard equipment on each one of them is not the same. The value of the equipment is not equal. So all that being said, sir, I understand your questions, but I assure you that staff has done its due diligence and determined that this is a good purchase for Sumter County. That's all I can say.
Yeah, you still got it. Okay, well, right now, I'm gonna declare the public hearing open on this issue. So anyone wanting to speak to council concerning the purchase of this piece of equipment, please proceed to the podium.
Good afternoon, council. My name is Myra Washington. Mr. Chairman, when I first heard about the request to purchase this piece of machinery, I made the statement that, you know, maybe this could help with the paving of some of these dirt roads or scraping of some of these dirt roads in the county that have been neglected. We know now for the last 35 years. And, you know, during that session, it was stated that this equipment was not suited for that purpose. And I went and did some investigation and found out that this particular model is well suited for a variety of functionality. And in that process, I also talked to several dealers who were surprised by the sale price of $525,000 for a machine this old, a 2016 with that many hours on it. And they wanted more details about the actual specs on this vehicle because they had, you know, it was just that vehicle retailed, or that piece of property retailed new between $250,000 to $300,000. So now we're buying a used piece of machinery for $525,000. And I find it interesting that, you know, on issues of even greater importance, not that this is not significant, but, you know, we're quick to, you know, find ways to say no, but on something that, you know, we're talking about $500,000 here, that there is no interest in finding additional information to make sure we are making the very best purchase. And I know that the administrator says that staff has done due diligence, but I don't see evidence of any due diligence. What was presented to this council was a photograph, a very blurry photograph of the equipment. So I don't know, you know, how you make a determination. And it is a responsibility of each of you to be fiscally responsible. And $374,000, whatever it is, $100,000, is significant. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Ms. Washington. Okay. Anyone else?
My name's Wayne Jeffs. Y'all talking about buying a bulldozer to go out there to the landfill because of fire.
It's not a bulldozer. It's a compact.
Compactor. Y'all got people 80-something years old can't get medicine and stuff to the house. Y'all need to think about the roads and don't worry about the landfill. That's a landfill. People going to the house and got bigger trouble than that landfill got. Why waste some money for that? Huh?
We're discussing that as well. We're trying to come up with a solution, so.
Okay, one of the attorneys mentioned that you buying it from someone else. I think even when you're buying something, you need several different quotes. One quote is not as
Your name, please, ma'am.
Linda Hastings.
Okay, Ms. Hastings.
One quote is not specific. I thought it was gonna be a brand new bulldozer, is what, I was thinking. But $500,000 for a used piece of equipment is way too much. Now, if you're gonna buy a new one, I can understand it. But we do need several quotes in and out of the state to find out exactly what is worth buying, the number of hours, the condition of it, and since we do our own repair, do we have specific people who know how to do the repair?
Thank you.
Good evening, Chair. Michael Choice. I just wanted to say this. Many of you might have not have been out to the landfill. I have been out there. I've spent numerous hours working out there for our sheriff department. And that piece of equipment got to work right. When it doesn't work right, the job don't get done. And that young man normally is by himself. So I can say that for the record, and every one of these disposable trucks come in there. Sometimes the line is all the way out to the road, and we wait there to do it. But I'm telling you right now, you got to have a good piece of equipment. And as Mr. Nixon has expressed his concerns as far as getting it, I believe that I can stand on what he said, because that piece of equipment gets a lot of work. And it's the only one out there that I know.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Choice. Public hearing is closed. What's the pleasure, council?
Move approval of third reading.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve third reading based on the information from staff. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Abstain.
Third reading is passed. On the new business, we have a presentation by Mr. Terry Woods. I think I saw him walk in. Hey, Terry.
Good afternoon. First, I'd like to say good afternoon to the people of Sumter, and good afternoon to the board, who the people are grateful to for your service. My colleagues here, if you all would join me up here. I don't want to feel by myself up here, so we're gonna bring the whole team in. And I prepared something short to say. We started with good afternoon to everyone of Sumter County and the council of this beautiful Gamecock City. Myself and my colleagues are here today to formally introduce the Sumter County Health Fair Expo. This is our second annual Health Fair Expo, and the health fair is geared around men. Men being the spearhead of the family, we like to get the awareness to men so that they can be healthy, which in turn would make the whole family healthy. If we can get the men to follow, we feel like the family will fall right in line. And what we prepare here, and a big portion of this team is the Sumter Prevention Team. My foundation is new, it's Healthy Mind, Body, and Family Foundation, and I was so blessed to be linked in with an awesome group of people right here. These folks here have been doing things in Sumter for a very long time, and they're geared around Sumter, the community, and the city, from the elderly to the children. And what we're doing is we're getting a host of medical organizations. Last year, I think we had, how many organizations did we have? We had 30 health organizations which discussed everything from physical health to mental health. We also had seminars and different medical organizations where folks could actually sign up for future treatment. So we were in the business of getting folks aware, making them knowledgeable of their health, how to maintain their health, and to put them with different organizations to actually keep it in line. And we're asking all of Sumter to come out and get involved with us. This is something that we're going to do as long as there are people in Sumter. We're going to do this every year. It's being held at the Sumter County Civic Center Saturday, June 15th, and that falls in line with Father's Day, Juneteenth. So it's a very, very big weekend, and all that winds back to the family. So if we could get your assistance in helping us make this a great event for the years to come, we would greatly appreciate it. I'm going to turn the mic over to my colleagues one at a time, so they can add in their ideas as well, because this is a group effort. I'm the first to the mic, but believe me, this is the brain trust right here. We put our minds together and we get things done, but I definitely want to give everyone a chance to introduce themselves, let you know what they're doing, what they have been doing in something, because they all have jobs, okay? And this is extra. This falls along the line of just wanting to serve your community, wanting to be a part of the people. So to have these folks here is just awesome. I can't think of a better word for it. So we're going to start off with Lavonda, and she's like, she's my number one. If I had a duty station, she'd be my command leader. So I'd like to introduce Lavonda, and then she's going to introduce after her. And this is all for the city of Sumter, the county of Sumter, and for the people. Thank you.
We're quite surprised. I'm LaVonda Johnson. This is Janine Campbell, Leslie, and Nicole Moran. As part of the Sumter Prevention Team, I work at Sand Hills Medical Foundation as Director of Community Development and Programs. She's at DSS. She's at Prisoners, PASOs, and she's at South Carolina Commission of Minority Affairs. But it's an entire group of us who meet monthly on Fridays, once a month, to discuss what's going on in our community. And Terry and my team work together, and we said we don't have anything that focuses on men. It's always on women, it's always on kids. So this is why we're doing it. And I don't know if each one of them want to speak individually, but as a team, we would ask that you come on out, and if you have any questions, the information is on the flyer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay.
I guess they were a little shy, but believe me, they all work hard. We want to thank you once again for giving us the opportunity to let the public know what we're doing. We like to get everyone involved, and however you feel that you can help as individuals, as the council, and just as family, we would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Next item on the agenda is a proclamation proclaiming April as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Sumter County, South Carolina. Move to approve. Second. Moved and properly seconded that we approve this proclamation. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, we have folks here from that agency. Ms. Bessie Sanders Gordon is here. You would recognize her, and by way of information, and she'll probably scold me for this after I say it, but she just celebrated her 75th birthday, and she had a huge party over the weekend at the St. Mark Conference Center. If you would ask her to stand, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Bessie. Thank you for your efforts in this matter. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the proclamation. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, can we have it read?
Do we have it?
It's on our screen.
Whereas South Carolina's 1.1 million children residing in the diverse communities across our state are our most valuable resource and will shape the future of our great county, state, and nation. And whereas childhood trauma, including neglect and abuse, is a serious problem affecting every segment of our community, and finding solutions requires input and action from everyone. And whereas childhood trauma can have long-term psychological, emotional, and physical effects that have lasting consequences for victims of abuse. And whereas effective child abuse prevention activities succeed because of the partnership created between child welfare professionals, education, health, community, and faith-based organizations, businesses, mental and behavioral health, law enforcement agencies, and families. And whereas communities must take every effort to promote programs and activities that build strong children and strengthen families. Whereas we acknowledge that we must work together as a community in partnership to build awareness about child abuse and neglect and contribute to promote the social and emotional well-being of children, youth, and families in a safe, stable, and nurturing environment. And prevention remains the best defense for our children and families. And whereas in fiscal year 2022-2023, there were 8,304 substantiated child protective services investigation, with 14,711 children that are in South Carolina. Now therefore, I, James T. McCain Jr. of Sumter, South Carolina, in great state of South Carolina, do hereby proclaim April 2024 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Sumter, South Carolina. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Sumter County to be affixed this 23rd day of April 2024.
I am now bringing to council in the form of a motion, a resolution to discontinue the practice of engaging in debate or discussion prior to a member of county council making a motion, followed by a second from another member, in order to follow the provisions of chapter 2 and 3 and 4 as stated by Mr. Washington of Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised 12th edition. Do I have a second?
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Do I have a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second discussion.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, first I want to hopefully put you and my fellow colleagues at ease. You should know that I am not at all opposed to the essence of the resolution presented here. In fact, I fully support the designation of the current edition of Robert Rules of Order as this body's parliamentary authority. To be even more clear, I fully embrace not only the subsections singled out in this proposal, I am indeed anxious and pleased that this body is now positioned to embrace each and every, and I do mean each and every subsection contained in this forward-thinking manual, Robert's Rules of Order, now in its 12th edition. My point of order, Mr. Chair, or should I say points of order, are based on this resolution's inconsistency with the rules of order dictated in what is soon to become our governing parliamentary manual. Robert's Rules of Order, 12th edition, and Chapter 2, Article 2 of the Code of Ordinances of Sumter County, South Carolina. My first point of order centers on this resolution's inconsistency with Robert's Rules of Order, 12th edition, Section 2:17, which establishes when special rules are adopted in the form of a resolution, and I quote, when they are printed in acting words such as resolved and that are normally dropped. Mr. Chairman, I have no idea who drafted this resolution, but whether it was the chair or some other individual, those enacting words were not dropped as denoted in Robert's Rules of Order. In fact, this resolution not only includes the words resolved in that, it goes even further, stating it be further resolved. Mr. Chairman, that is my first point of order related to this resolution. And I do have with me a copy of the manual, if you would like to reference it.
I have it myself.
That is my first point of order. Would you like to rule on that? And then I can go to my second.
If that is the case, I'll have the attorney take those words out.
Okay.
If that is indeed correct.
I read directly from Robert's Rules of Order. I do have a second point of order, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, according to Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised 12th edition, and I quote, "It is a good policy for every member joining the society to be given a copy of the bylaws printed together with the corporate charter, if there is one, and any special rules of order or standing rules that the society may have adopted. The esteemed parliamentary manual further stipulates a member should become familiar with the contents of these rules if he looks toward full participation in the society's affairs." And I do look forward to full participation. Mr. Chairman, as you know, I am fully invested in participating in the affairs of this body. As such, I am formally requesting that if this body has bylaws, a charter, a constitution, special rules of order, and or adopted standing rules, that these important resources be found and immediately provided to this councilman from Rembert and any other members who, like this member, have not been provided such. I seek to and intend to continue participating fully in the affairs of this body. Do we have a charter or bylaws or constitution?
We have a code of ordinances, it's bound volume, and it's on the shelf in the lobby.
I didn't hear that, Mr. Chairman.
Can you repeat that?
We have a bound code of ordinances, and it's also online. And it sets forth how we do things, especially how the county council does things, how it elects officers, the standing agenda. That's in reference in this resolution, I think, is the actual section of the Code of Laws of Sumter County that cites to Robert's Rules of Order for procedures to supplement what's in that bound volume.
Mr. General Counsel, what that provision says is that it abides by Robert's Rules of Order, but it does not give a specific edition. And Robert's Rules of Order has 12 editions, and if you would look at the ordinance, that is exactly what it says, last codified in 1985 and 1981. So realistically, we're operating from that perspective. I saw the piece in there that said we would automatically assume the new edition, but when we're making laws, we don't automatically assume anything.
But right in Robert's Rules of Order on Romanet 7, this 12th edition supersedes all previous editions and is intended automatically to become the parliamentary authority in organizations whose bylaws prescribe, quote, Robert's Rules of Order, end quote. Robert's Rules of Order revised, end quote. Robert's Rules of Order new revised, quote. Or the current edition of any of these titles or the like, without specifying a particular edition. I can go on, but Robert's Rules sets forth that this is the most recent addition, and it supersedes all prior.
So what Robert Rules of Order says is that you should identify the addition. That's what it says. And if you look at our ordinance, it just has Robert's Rules of Order. It doesn't have any addition at all. Not 1985, not 1990, not 2000, not 2012. Doesn't have it. And so until we adopt it, and it's just as simple as changing a couple of words on the ordinance. All it requires is that it says this body will use the latest edition. And that said, that would make the resolution irrelevant. I mean, we're wasting our time. I mean, I'm helping the chairman get where he wants to go, but in its current form, it is not correct.
Well, it states in the ordinance, whereas Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised 12th edition, is the current edition and supersedes all previous editions and is intended automatically to become the parliamentary authority in organizations whose bylaws prescribe Robert's Rules of Order. It says that in the ordinance.
We've not adopted it. It says intended. We have not adopted it. We have not. And it's not in the ordinance.
We have not adopted what?
What we need to do is put in the ordinance, that Robert's Rules of Order will reflect the latest edition. You do that, you do not need the resolution. The resolution would be irrelevant. All you need to do is change 2 words. That's it.
I don't think the resolution is not irrelevant.
It is irrelevant, Mr. Chairman.
If
If we pass this resolution and not amend the Code of Ordinances of Sumter County, then this resolution will not have the effect you are seeking. You must amend the Code of Ordinances in order for this to take effect. We will always be operating under the current edition, always, unless we add those 2 words. Robert's Rules of Order also says you should not have unnecessary special orders and resolutions. Amend the laws or ordinances by putting the current edition. That's what needs to happen. And you would not need I'm trying to help you, Mr. Chairman.
No, I don't think you are.
Well, I mean, it's very clear. It says it in Robert's Rules of Order.
Well, our attorney is disagreeing.
Well, I can't help what our attorney is doing, but I know what Robert's Rules of Order says, and I can quote you where it says it. And it says, the usual and preferable method by which an ordinary society now provides itself with suitable rules of order is to place in its bylaws a provision prescribing that the current edition of a specified and generally accepted manual of parliamentary law shall be the organization's parliamentary authority, and then to adopt only special rules of order, i.e. resolutions, as it finds needed to supplement or modify rules contained in the manual. And if council needs help, it came from chapter 2, section 215, and I quote it. This book right here.
I have that book. And our attorney has it as well.
Good. Good. Then he knows what I'm saying is true because I read it out of the book.
May I ask a question? So since we have Robert's Rules of Order, the very last version, why is there a need for another ordinance, for a resolution?
Right.
Because we have set a precedent whereby we have been allowing items to be placed on the agenda for the purposes of discussion only. Robert's Rules states that you need to have a motion and a second and then discussion. We can't place items on the agenda just for the discussion, for the purposes of discussion. And we have moved away from that. And I'm just trying to get us back into regular order. If Mr. Washington would agree to not put things on the agenda except for if we need to take action, then that's following Robert's Rules of Order. All I'm trying to do is get back to our regular order.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate your comments and thank you so much for them. But I would suggest to you that that is an applicable suggestion to all members, including the chairman. 2 meetings ago, you addressed the audience directly, which is a violation of Robert's Rules of Order.
And so do you, Mr.
So that's my point. That's my point. And so if we are going to follow Robert's Rules
Then
of
all of
Order,
us should.
then let's follow
I agree.
Robert's Rules of Order, which makes your resolution out of order, because all we need to do is adjust the ordinance to say the latest edition of Robert's Rules of Order, and it covers everything you want covered. This is a waste of time for council.
Is that in our ordinance?
No, it's not.
Our ordinance says we follow Robert's Rules of Order.
Right, and it doesn't say the 12th
I'm sorry,
edition
I thought I
or
had
the
the
latest
floor.
edition. I'm talking, council.
You're
You're not a council member.
First,
You didn't give anybody the floor.
I pointed at him and said.
You pointed at people now?
Yeah.
You pointed?
Mr. Washington.
You recognize them verbally. You're pointing at people?
Okay, Mr. Attorney, please. I asked him a question.
It anticipates that organizations are not going to update their bylaws every time Roberts comes out with a new edition. The last edition came out in 2020, so it's been around a little bit. But prior to that, I don't know when it was, but you have to be careful, and you have to go to Roberts' homepage and see what is the latest edition from time to time. But that's why they put in here in the preface on Roman 7, that catch-all that allows agencies, organizations of all types to use the latest, even though they've not updated their bylaws to account for the latest edition of Robert's Rules of Order. So, and I read it previously, and I can read it again if you want. And it's included in that resolution, which is why we follow this particular book.
Mr. Chairman, I would submit to you when we are doing the people's work in the people's house, we don't need to assume anything. And if we're going to use the 12th edition, the 10th edition, the 9th edition, whatever edition, council needs to make that clear. We don't need to assume anything. We're doing the people's business. And so the ordinance needs to be updated to reflect that. Once the ordinance is updated to reflect that, your resolution is irrelevant, but you still get what you want. We are not doing this the right way. We're not. And I've talked to other people as well. This isn't just the councilman from Rembert's thought process. And Robert's Rules of Order clearly say that. Now, if we're going to Robert's Rules of Order, then we're going to do that. And I promise you, I've started reading this book, and I will read the entire book. Not only will I read it, there are others who will be reading it as well. We're going to have a book club about it. We're going to be versed in Robert's Rules of Order, all the way down to how you address council members. Because council members should not be addressed by name. Which is why I address council member from Dazzell, council member from Pinewood, council member from Wilson Hall, council lady from Shiloh. You should not even use their names. So if we're going down this path, the rabbit hole, let's take it all the way to the house.
All right. Mr. Chairman, may I have a point of privilege, please? Yes. And where and I really regret missing a meeting, but, and I didn't even look at the video, but I heard about the meeting. And I think that that's one of the reasons why you probably felt the need to have an ordinance. And of course, I know that our attorney is going to do what we ask him to do. We have done so many different resolutions, and a resolution, we read it, and it's good for the moment, but then we forget it. But if we've got our parliamentary procedures that's stamped and sealed, which is what we're saying is the 12th edition. So this councilwoman thinks that we need to just settle for that and everyone be obedient to the chairman. It's you who makes the final decision as to what goes on the agenda. Has always been my decision, my understanding. And so, and if we have to, get a poll to approve something that is being persistently requested, then we all need to take a look at it. But I think you have that final decision as to what goes on. And he said that it's irrelevant, and I think what he's saying has a lot of credence. So, do we need this resolution? Do we?
No, if we follow Robert's Rules of Order. The reason that I brought this forward is in our last conversation that I had with Mr. Washington, I pointed out that putting things on the agenda without having a motion and a second was out of order. He told me that there has been a precedent set in the past where we have allowed that to happen. And he said if we're going to change that precedent, it needs to be voted on by council and voted on in the public. And that's why I'm bringing this forward, Mr. Chairman.
But he's saying that he will abide by it.
If we will follow Robert's Rules of Order, I got no problem with it.
Mr. Chairman, respectfully, we did not have that conversation until I raised an issue that the people, and this is the people's house, that the people asked me to raise. And it's an issue of public safety, it's an issue of public health, and it's an important issue. I would think, Mr. Chairman, that you would be all over that, in support of that. And all of the other times that you excuse using Robert Rules of Order. On this issue, Mr. Chairman, you should have been at the front of the line, respectfully, Mr. Chairman, and a lot of other of us sitting around this table. And I am attempting, and I'm gonna be as respectful as I can be, because these other council members here, my colleagues, they were elected just like I was. They ran a race and they were elected. But we have to remember the people.
That's fine, Mr. Washington. But just like we just had the committee meeting.
Yes, sir.
We're working towards the solution.
I agree.
But when you brought that up that time, there was no way that we could come up with a solution without having talked about it.
I agree.
So all I'm trying to do is to get us to come together like we did in the committee meeting to come up with a solution for these roads.
Let's just change the ordinance.
But last council meeting that wasn't going anywhere. We didn't,
right.
It wasn't even discussed with us. You just presented it.
Right.
So now you brought it forward and we're discussing it and we got some good ideas to come up with.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. I agree. So let's just change the ordinance and you got what you want. I'm not against you. I just think it needs to be done the right way. I am not opposing what you're saying.
One more thing, and what I'm also hearing is that I don't think we need to forsake the public for giving us information, because information is powerful, and we do need to know how the public feels about things. And so, and I know that's why we have public hearings. And so, whatever we do, we need to, I I don't wanna vote, I wouldn't vote for that resolution today, because we don't need it. But what I really think that we all just need to come to Jesus on is to be willing to abide by the Robert's Rule of Order, the parliamentary procedures that we already have in place. We will be the laughing stock of this state if these 7 members, Mr. Bailey is absent, but if these 7 members of this Sumter County Council cannot abide by Robert's Rule of Order as our source of parliamentary procedures, and I think we can do that.
I agree.
Thank you.
I withdraw it, as long as it was.
Here's something, if you draw, I kinda like what Mr. Candy said, you chair, you make room from the chair. They said,
Speak into the mic.
oh, sorry, my Mary, I apologize. And I alluded to what Mr. Washington said, Councilman Washington said, rules of order, so meeting of some kind shall be conducted according to Robert's Rules of Order. Simple statement. It didn't specify anything, so that's what we should do in the latest version. It's in our code of ordinance right here. So he said it's already there. I don't think you need an ordinance. It's already there.
So the only thing, I'm
Sorry.
sorry, Mr. Chairman,
I'm sorry.
the only thing that's not there is the latest edition.
Now it just says Robert's order. That's it.
Right. So what it needs to say,
You think it needs to say? I think it's
the latest edition. We can't assume with the people's word.
Robert's Rule of Order. It's in that book to assume it's automatically the latest version, right?
If we want to cover, if we want to cover our bases, what needs to be in the ordinance.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it does.
As long as we agree to follow Robert's Rules of Order.
Chairman should have some flexibility at times.
I
To
withdraw.
let us speak.
I withdraw.
Yes,
That's,
I agree with that.
I don't think we need a sledgehammer. I think we need to just dial back with it. Sometimes we need to speak, let the chairman give us permission to speak to a certain subject. That's all.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman, just a little bit to muddy the waters a little bit. And I've read, years ago, it's been a while since I read it, but, a lot, I don't know what percentage I was
Can hear you back here.
half of it. Not pertaining,
Those of you in the back that are talking, so we need to have one conversation.
We can't hear y'all.
Okay, get that mic.
half of it does not pertain to organizations like county council. The Association of Counties, a few years ago, actually published a version directly for county councils to adopt if you wish. So it's just something else I threw out there that maybe,
You're correct.
maybe we'll look at
You're
that.
correct.
And maybe, because it really pertains to county councils.
Mr. Chair, is the councilman from Wilson Hall suggesting we use that document instead?
Well, I suggest we look at it and
Okay,
maybe
I'm open
if
to
we want to
that.
have a committee meeting on it.
I'm open to that.
Well, as I say, I've withdrawn the request, so.
And at the end of the day, my colleagues, y'all know what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help my.
And we all agree.
Yeah.
We all agree.
Okay.
You need a motion.
No, I just, okay, ordinance number 24998, third reading. An ordinance authorizing the sale of property located at 13 South Main Street.
Mr. Chairman, we had a public hearing on this 2 weeks ago. No changes since second reading.
Move approval of third reading. Second. Move to properly seconded that we have third reading of ordinance 24988 in discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Ordinance number 24-1000, second reading.
Mr. Chairman, ordinance 24-1000 authorizes the transfer of 93 square feet. That's kind of under the Manning Avenue Bridge to the South Carolina Department of Transportation. They need that 93 square feet for that project. They're gonna give us $500.
Move approval, no, you got to have a public hearing. Third reading.
Public hearing on third reading.
Move for approval, second reading. Second.
We move to properly seconded that we have second reading with the note that we will have public hearing at third reading on May the 14th. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Committee reports, Mr. Mixon.
Mr. Chair, Council today had its first budget workshop for the county's general fund. At this time, we report that what was presented tonight by staff for informational purpose was that the proposed revenues for the up-and-coming year would be $61,331,199. The general fund expenditures at this current time are $63,381,017 for a negative balance of $2,049,818. That's the general fund request as it sits today. There will be additional budget workshops over the next few weeks. Also in that request information was the capital request. We bond out generally $3.5 million. Currently the request for capital is at $10,295,126 for a negative balance of $6,795,126. Again, this is the start of the budget process. We will be reviewing this information and council will make the decisions with an end goal by the end of June to have a balanced budget, which is required by law. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Public Works Committee.
Public Works met. Me and Mr. Washington were the only two there. Like, it's not here. We discussed private roads, and I told Mr. Washington that I would turn that meeting over to him, so I'm gonna turn this portion of it over to him.
Thank you, Councilman from Dazel. And before I begin, let me just share with all of you that the councilman from Myrtle Beach Highway, Councilman Baton, had a medical procedure today, and that is why he is not with us. He's doing fine. Everything is fine, but that is the reason for his absence. I also want to thank the councilman from Dazel who asked me to chair this committee, since it's sort of been something I've been bird dogging for a while. So I want to thank you for that. I would also like to thank my colleagues here present today who met during the committee meeting, and the county administrator. And I think we've been able to at least begin to get our arms around how big the problem is, and subsequent to that, try and figure out a solution. And what does that mean, Councilman from Rembert? What that means is we're figuring out now just how many private dirt roads we have, just how many of them are in a position that prevents ingress and egress. We're figuring out how long those roads are. And once we figure all of that out, we'll be able to put a price tag on it. There's some other nuances that have to be worked out, and we have a very capable county administrator, and he's guiding us through that. But the information request is out there, and it's being gathered, and once we get that, and we can get a handle on just how large or how small the problem is and what it's going to take to address, then we'll be ready to enter phase 2 to figure out how we address this issue. We all agreed in the committee meeting that this is a problem that we want to address, and I think we made some progress today. I will certainly be back to you as that progress continues, but again, I'm very direct, and I'm very transparent in my business with representing the folks of District 1. And there are times when I may seem a little annoyed with my colleagues, but I must tell you that we all worked very hard in the back on trying to get our arms around this, and I want to thank each one of you personally for that. And so with that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report, and we will be back with with more information. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. White. All right, report from council members on other meetings, trainings, and or conferences. Hearing none, Ms. Blanding, monthly reports.
The strength fest is, on the 25th. And those that are interested in participating in the Mary McLeod Boone, annual golf tournament, please let me know. Also, there is the taste of the gardens, and the chairman is supposed to participate in the events prior to opening the gardens. Sumter County Sheriff's Office information is in your packet, and the Public Works information is also there, the monthly report. The Planning Commission meeting and monthly report is in there as well with the building activity report. And that's it.
Thank you, Mrs. Blanding.
Mr. Chairman, I failed to say anything when you asked for reports from county council members. Very quickly, and I don't have the written report and not a really good summary, but I will be obtaining a copy of the last report that we received from the Home Consortium to give to Mrs. Blanding for her to publicize on the county's website and in any other resources, forms that she can publicize it. But for the sake of the public, the Home Consortium is a group consisting of members from the 4 counties that comprise the Santee Lynch's Regional Council of Government. And we do have members from this county council on that council of government. And from all the 4 counties are Sumter, Clarendon, Meade, and Kershaw. And the Home Consortium has really received a pretty large amount of federal funds to help people who are downtrodden and live in mobile homes. Mobile homes as old as those built as far back as 1975. And that's a need in our counties. And so there's a lot of information, and there are other resources that will be made available for different other things like owner-occupied rehab. More funds have come in for that as well. And so if you would just keep an eye on the county's website, I will be giving that to Mrs. Blanding to publicize it. It's good information. And I've also asked the CEO of the Santee Lynch's Regional Council of Government to plan some town hall meetings so that we can take this information out to the communities so that they can be informed and get the information that they need so that we can help. That is a part of government, is to help those that are downtrodden and cannot do it on their own. And it is my pleasure to serve on that council of government. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Chairman, I want to congratulate Council Lady from Shiloh. Thank you so much. I have that same issue in my district, and it is a need, and I want to thank you for taking the lead on that and grabbing it by the horns. Any help you need from me, I got you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else? Mr. Mixon, County Administrator.
No report, sir. Thank you.
Okay, come now to the public comment portion of our agenda. Citizens desiring to speak during public comment. Limited up to 3 minutes. Comments are to be made through the chairman. If there are any questions, they will be answered after the meeting. Anyone wishing to address council, please proceed to the podium, and please say your name for the record. Public comment portion is open.
Good evening, Linda Hasty. I showed, talked about what we did a couple of weeks ago. Children couldn't believe that grown adults didn't have respect for each other. I look around this room and we don't see teenagers, we don't see young people. We got to encourage them to come and be a part of city council, to learn what goes on and how to manage things. We don't want to leave out our kids, and we're supposed to be emotional, mature people, but we didn't act that way. But we have to learn to do better with each other. We have to know that my brother and my sister are my brother and sister. And you have to be passionate about what you believe in, but passion does not give you the right to insult each other. Passion gives you the right to stand your ground and let people know where you stand. I read the article part of the article in the item about the dirt roads. We're not talking about roads leading to someone's house. We're talking about the road that EMS is going to use, the school buses use, the mailman, the DSS workers. That's what we're talking about. Your road leading to your house, that's a totally different situation, and it's not in the equation. But since we always got problems but no solution, okay. South Carolina got $1.8 million to account for. Go up there and ask. Can I have some of that money? We know that there are grants out there, but whoever writes the grants here, look through, see what we can find. And we can stop wasting money, but we don't need to waste money too. So those are my solutions. So don't always want to come with a complaint, but I do want to say I appreciate everyone up there, and sorry to say I know everyone up here from some place or the other, but you enjoy this summer and be nice to each other.
Thank you, Ms. Hasty.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, council members. I really wasn't gonna speak today. I planned to speak, but then when I heard sound like almost,
State your name for the record, please.
I'm sorry, Elizabeth Kilgore.
Yes, ma'am.
When I heard almost a resolution from the councilman from Revert on the issue of roads, I said, okay, that's a wrap, not gonna speak. But I am. I'm here today to speak about rural roads versus the penny for progress tax. Several penny for progress have passed in Sumter County to date. Nothing has been done to address rural roads. Rural community taxpayers pay taxes too. Rural roads continue to be a major problem, and yet it appears not to faze this body. At your last council meeting, some council members were disrespectful to voting taxpayers with laughing and whispering while they stated their concerns. Constituents were sharing with you how bad their roads are, with serious issues of how they cannot get much needed medication delivered to their homes, along with ambulance, police, and other emergency services. And yes, in one particular instance, one of the taxpayers stated that he lost his mother because of the road problem. Public participation. Public participation is the last item on this council's agenda. There has never been a response from council regarding constituents concerned during county council meetings. Never a verbal or written response to citizens regarding their concerns. Constituents are really speaking to other constituents in attendance. Constituents deserve to have their issues addressed with dignity and respect by this elected body. As a reminder, constituents are voters too. Over the next few weeks and up to the November election, all of us know that there is an election, and we will be paying close attention to this issue. We know some of you are not up for election, but live 2 more years, and you will be up for re-election. No money for rural roads, as Councilman Baden said at the last meeting. No money for rural roads, no penny for progress. Elected folks, we'll see you all at the polls. We are the voting constituents.
We have no one else, public comment is closed.
Move for adjournment.
Been moved and properly seconded that we adjourn. We are adjourned.